The Mendon-Honeoye Falls-Lima Sentinel welcomes you to this edition of the Mayor's and Supervisors Weekly Update, brought to you by...
Each week, our community makes history. Each week, you make history. And each week, there's only one source to turn to for the first take on history. You know what that is? Subscribe to the Sentinel right now to discover the history being made in your own backyard.
The Mendon-Honeoye Falls-Lima Sentinel. More than just your news, it's your history.
Hey, welcome everyone to this week's edition of the Mayors and Supervisors Update. I'm Chris Carosa, publisher of the Mendon-Honeoye Falls-Lima Sentinel, and each week we bring you the goings-on in the towns and villages that we cover. This week we're going to be starting with John Moffett, supervisor of the town of Mendon. John, how are we doing in Mendon?
Fine, Chris. Just a few updates today. One is that the Fire Protection Committee that started their work a few months ago, they are finishing up. So we're expecting a report in March, which I'm sure will lead to some further meetings that will be open to the public. And we certainly are looking forward to sharing their information, not only with the various boards, but also with the public, as I mentioned. Our military memorial and spray park is progressing. They put the metal roof on the building this week, and we are, the plaques will go on when the weather is warmer, because right now the material won't adhere properly because of the cold temperatures. The other thing that we're waiting on is final approval from the DEC for the septic system, which hopefully we'll get in soon. We are continuing to review our code even beyond short-term rentals because of a few questions that have come up, not only with short-term rentals, but other items as well. So we'll be continuing to review that and be making changes throughout the spring and the summer. There will be public hearings for any changes to the code. So you can look forward to that, and I'll try to keep everybody informed as that progresses. The Honeoye Falls Men and Senior Citizens got a big event coming up on Tuesday, February 21st. They are going down to Cartwright's to the pancake breakfast. Anyone who would like to go to that, you're more than welcome to. You don't have to be a member of the club. It's open to all senior citizens. And I want to say a big thank you to the Honeoye Falls-Lima School and the Transportation Department for providing transportation to that event. And lastly, I want to thank the Honeoye Falls Fire Department, because when we had our sewer issue here at Town Hall recently, excuse me, after the pipe problem was fixed and after the people came in and did the cleanup afterwards, excuse me, we had to dry out everything in the basement, and I borrowed a couple of fans from the fire department. We had some fans over at our highway department, and that helped dry out the basement. So hopefully we won't have any mold issues now, but I did want to thank the fire department. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, John. Rick, over in Honeoye Falls, what's happening there?
Well, it's great to see everybody, as always. And John, you are very welcome. We're always happy to help out our town hall folks. So you're very welcome for that. So this past week was busy as I traveled to Albany, New York for the New York State Conference of Mayors legislative meeting. This meeting was to meet with the NICOM Executive Committee, of which I'm a member, and to review the proposed executive budget as presented by the governor. We also review legislation for our committee that our committee has supported, and also legislation that we've been opposed to during the course of the last year, in order to determine any next steps, as well as go through a lot of training programs. So it was a great couple of days. There's actually quite a bit in the budget that is concerning to many municipalities and municipal officials across the state. The AIM funding, which is unrestricted funding support from the state to municipalities, has not increased in some 16 years, while funding to some of the other groups continues to rise significantly. This unrestricted funding is really critical to our towns and villages across the state and to counties. And one of the concerns, I just learned this the other day, is that the AIM funding supposedly has been pulled 100% from Monroe County. We're not really sure about that. We just heard that the other day. So we're going to look at that. But this funding has not gone up in over 16 years, and we all need a bump in that. The governor's housing compact is very concerning and would mandate that local municipalities, villages, towns, and cities would increase their housing stock by 3% downstate in New York City area, and mandating a 1% increase in upstate communities, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it really is. The concern with this is not so much that the increase, but that local municipalities that don't really may not want to move in this direction for various reasons, would be forced to by the state, and the state would take over some of the code enforcement process. This would be both unmanageable as well as wrong, taking away some of our home rule ability. So, we really want to fight that. There is also a proposal, and this is more county related, but there's also a proposal for a approximately $25 million Medicaid funding intercept proposed from the state that would significantly impact Monroe County and impact our local taxpayers across the county. So that's very concerning. The executive budget includes a proposal that would give local governments the authority to provide nominal fees to firefighters who volunteer their services to aid in recruitment and retention. This nominal fee is not defined, nor is there any financial aid mechanisms included for this consideration. Thus, this nominal fee would be funded by the municipality, which sounds great for our volunteers, but I think most municipalities do not have additional funding readily available. So again, it's great to put it in the budget, but there isn't anything that's going to help us pay for this. Also, what I found interesting is that emergency medical services, in an effort to modernize the New York EMS system and workforce, the executive budget would create a coordinated regional system to facilitate delivery of emergency medical care. Among other things, this proposal would establish mandated performance standards for EMS agencies, which they already have now, and those facilities that dispatch and receive medical services resources. Failure of a provider to meet those standards set by the state could result in an enforcement action against the provider. It would create a comprehensive EMS system plan that would provide a coordinated EMS system throughout the state. Counties would be required to create and maintain a countywide medical services plan for a coordinated effort of providing emergency medical treatment for residents of the county, and would also undertake a public service campaign to recruit EMS personnel. Again, another plan by the state. I think it has some good merit without a doubt, because our EMS services and agencies are really struggling. But again, there has to be a real plan put together and put in place. These are just obviously some of the proposals and information reviewed, but this continues to be, to push more on our counties and local municipalities. In addition to the information and activities above, while at the NICOM conference and my time in Albany, I did meet with various legislators, but specifically with Senator Pam Helming and Assemblywoman Lunsford, who cover the town of Mendon and village of Honeoye Falls. My meeting with them was to specifically discuss projects within the village and funding support that's needed, like upgrades to our parks and our playgrounds, and both infrastructure and equipment needs. These discussions were specific to the village, but then I also spoke about some of my concerns that affect the legislative district that I support within Monroe County, which is Legislative District 5. And then moving back to the specific village discussions. Today, I had the pleasure to meet with HFL Manor School Principal Joelle Weaver and Safety Manager Bob Fusa, and along with the village administrator regarding the crosswalk area that goes to the Manor School entrance on East Street. And we are going to work together in an effort to improve safety of this crosswalk area for our children that are walking to school to and from their homes. We appreciate this collaboration between the village and the HFL Central School District. So quite a bit there, Chris, and I thank you for the opportunity to put this out there. Have a great day.
Thanks, Rick. Yeah, I forgot to mention, Rick is also a legislator of Monroe County in our region. So he's got a report on two things. Jerry, long time no see. Town of Rush, how are we doing there?
Well, Jerry is back up and running, and thank goodness for Amber Corbin, our deputy supervisor, and our town board, because they didn't skip a beat in my absence. And I don't have any town news to share because today is my very first day back. But I will say this, if you have a chance to get vaccinated, I don't care if it's for the flu, for COVID, for pneumonia, do it, because I just had all three of them. Plus I had a false alarm for Lyme disease, which scared the bejeebies out of me, but it turned out to be negative. And I had to have minor surgery on each ear because I lost 90% of my hearing. So I don't know who put the curse on me, but it's not working because I'm recovering. And next week I'll have more substantial town news to share with you because I'll be around for a week. So it's good to be back. Good to see all of you. And good to see the two new people to the right of my screen.
Good to see you,
All
Jerry.
right. Good to see you too, Jerry. And good to hear at least your Lyme disease test turned out to be a lemon. So Steve,
That was a big scare.
yeah. So Steve is there he is live and in person. Steve Schultz of Henrietta. Steve, how are we doing in Henrietta?
Good. Not a whole lot new to report since last week. A lot of what we've been working on is continuation of stuff we've already announced. We did just approve special use permit for Shake Shack, if people are familiar with those. So it's actually one of the first Shake Shacks of all of Western New York, Central and Western New York. So that's exciting that they chose Henrietta. It's going in the former Denny's location at the corner of Clay Road and Jefferson Road. If you go further back, it used to be a Perkins. We had, I think we had like 9 special use permits. So a lot of stuff going on. But that's the one that's probably the biggest interest to people, because like I said, especially if you've ever we tried to go to the one in New York City outside of the Broadway area, the theater district, and we had to go somewhere else because the lines were just too long. We wouldn't have made our show. So very popular locale. We'll be curious to see how well they do up here in Monroe County. So that's about it. Like I said, a lot of what we've talked about before is still going on. And one other thing, we did finally get a release of funds for our multimodal project to put in the sidewalk on East Henrietta Road. To give you an idea of how fast the state moves, we first got that award in 2018. And it's only now in 2023 that we got the release of funds. So we can actually start doing the work. I will say that was one of the things I've found the most frustrating, since people always say, how do you like being in office? I said, enjoy it. There are certain things that frustrate me. That's one of them. So.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
Yep.
Lita, you all set? Lita is pinch hitting for Mike Falk, the town of Lima. Lita, let us know what's going on in the town of Lima.
Hi, thanks for having me. Increased levels of property tax exemption were passed for senior citizens and disabled persons at our February 7th town board meeting. And this is to match the postcard that you've already received in the mail. Contact the assessor's office at 624-6120 if you have any questions. Water District 5 petitions are circulating. So if you have any questions, call the town office at 582-1130. Planning for our annual Crossroads Music Festival is underway. So save the date for August 3rd through the 6th. Music and kids events are free. And this year we are raising money for the Teresa House, the Red Cross, and the Lima Ambulance. And if you'd like to become a sponsor, please contact Jam at Fanatics or Jody at the Upper Deck. The Lima Parks Commission is working on finalizing details for using the new dog park at Mark Tubbs Park. And we will be announcing the official opening and dedication date coming soon.
And that's it. Okay, thank you, Lita. Did anybody
Welcome.
forget something they wanted to say? Seeing none, I want to thank you all for being a part of today's show. I want to thank the listeners out there for watching and hearing. Remember, we are broadcast every Sunday at 1 p.m. on our Facebook page. You like that page, you will be notified when the show starts. On our YouTube channel, you subscribe to that, you will also be notified when the show starts. So that's it for this week. We'll see you all next week. Bye-bye for now.
Have a good weekend.
Imagine yourself communicating with a difference. Pan-Dimensional Solutions helps you do this. Whether live spectator events, taped broadcasts, or real-time audience-engaging programs, you can benefit immediately from the tools Pan-Dimensional Solutions will share with you. Do you want to make a difference? Contact us at pandimensional.com.